Everybody, welcome back to another Fly Time Tuesday. Brady here with you once more. Today we're going to tie this awesome little fly, the Perpetrator. It's a cool salmon fly, a nice little swing guy. That would work for trout too if you want to swing flies for trouts in your freshwater fisheries. But definitely a true steelhead salmon stinger pattern there. A nice little intruder fly. So we'll start out with our hook, and this is going to be a 5263 from TMCO. You can use any 3X long shanked streamer or nymph hook with a down eye on it. And we need to add our bead to this guy. Just a countersunk brass bead in gold. So we'll get that on there. And then we can get to tying it. Start out with my thread. This is a UTC 140 olive today. And we'll dress our hook nice and quickly. This hook's going to get fully dubbed out. So no need to worry about your thread wraps at this point. Just going to walk on back, create a little bit of a base for us to secure our intruder wire to. This is the Senio's intruder wire in the small size. Just a nice stiff intruder wire. And I'm going to attach it right on the side, facing forward, because I always like to give myself a little bit of extra confidence when I'm doing these style of flies. So we'll tie it in facing forward and then fold it over and bring it on back there. So I'm just going to give it kind of a hinging point or a locking point up front. And we'll secure it on the side, nice, snug, tight wraps. Making sure that that is not going to come loose on us. We don't want that to be the point of failure on this rig when you get a big fish on. So nice and snug. Keep it locked. When you get back to the point where you have that dull edge, I'll usually just sort of lighten up my wraps until I cover that up, making sure I'm not going to cut through on it, and then you can snug down again and keep it locked in place. So we'll work right on back to the bend here. So once we have our intruder wire nice and secure, we're going to add our stinger hook. This is the Umpqua TMC 785, specifically made to be a stinger for your intruder style flies. We're going to go up through the eye, so the hook is inverted. Going to go up through the eye, down and around the shank, and then back up through the eye. And that makes sure that once you get this all snugged down and in, that hook point coming off of the back is going to be nice and straight up off of there. And we'll mold it a little bit in a little while to help ensure that that's where it's going to stay. So we'll capture this with our thread and do the same thing. We want that hook eye so that it's coming straight out of the back when we clip off our extra hook there. So we'll wrap forward, securing this down, and then once we get to our turnaround position, that's when we'll really bite into it, fold it over, and then bind that down real snug and lock it into place. And then we can come in with some of our older scissors, a pair of scissors you don't mind doling, and clip it off. And then add a whole bunch of securing wraps here. So again, just as much pressure as you can lay down on top of this, making sure that that is not going to move on you and not going to come loose. walk down, and this is where we're gonna maneuver this hook as we snug it in place to keep it coming right off of the rear and getting that point to ride up. A little tip I got from Dave, guy here in the shop that does a lot of space stuff, is once you have this somewhat tight in, if you take it and you press it straight up and back, it's going to help that point stay riding straight upward. So we'll just kind of stretch it out. Gives that hook memory, the wire memory, so that it's in that position, not going to move. It's a stiff wire, and it'll hold that position that way. So we'll dress the rest of our hook. If you'd like, at this point, you can come in and add some Zap-A-Gap or some UV finish to help lock these threads down. But with some nice secure wraps, it's not going to come loose on you. Alright, so now we're going to come in and add our French tinsel. Some medium size in gold, just an awesome ribbing material. I prefer it to just a standard wire because it's a little bit thicker, has a nice texture to it, great shimmer, just kind of an elegant finish to a fly as opposed to just a flat brass wire. So we'll tie that in on the side, secure it in place, walk it on back, and then dub out our fly. For this one, I'm doing a peacock black ice stub color. You can do a lot of different variations with this. Just like the way the peacock black looks. Or yeah, UV peacock black. It's a nice dark color, it's got hints of green to it. One of my most used ice dubs. Works in a lot of different applications. And it's going to be a nice healthfully dubbed body here. So we're going to start right where that junction is and just work our way forward, building up some bulk. This one takes a lot of dubbing, similar to that atomic stonefly. If you saw us tie that one recently, a lot of dubbing in these flies. And just work on our profile a little bit as we go. We're going to palmer some soft tackle up front, but majority of this pattern is the body and dubbing. A little bit more and then we'll rib it forward. Fairly quick tie too as far as salmon steelhead flies go. Not too much time vested into making a nice little bug here. So we'll walk on back and rib this out. And just bite into that material as we go, counter ribbing along the way. Adding a pop and some segmentation. And then we can clip out the extra material and prep for our feathers. That moved on me good. Let me make sure that's not going to come loose. Go. So I'll create a little bit of a flat thread base to palmer on, right up into the bead there. And we're also going to add a collar thereafter. The first one is a little bit of mallard flank, And this is a dyed wood duck color of the mallard flank. So we'll find ourselves a nice feather out of the pack, and then we can kind of preen this backwards and clear out some of the aftershaft stuffy sort of fibers that we don't want to use. So we got our wood duck feather prepped. I'm gonna go ahead and sort of pull it rearward, and we'll tie it in by the tip, leaving myself some feathers to palmer. Go right on top and secure that in place. Clip out the extra, and then again just making sure that I have a nice flat thread base to palmer on here. Nice smooth, don't want too heavy of a transition, it'll slip on you if you do. Watch out for those hooks. So you got a stinger on top and a hook on the bottom to poke yourself with on this pattern. So we'll pull these rearward and wrap them around. You can do this a few times. If you have a bigger feather, you can obviously go 4 or 5 times around if you want a nice thick collar. So usually 3 or 4 does it for you. We can capture that in place, and we're going to come over that all with a little bit of guinea. We got natural guinea. Both of these feathers, the mallard flank and the guinea, you can do in a lot of different color options. Like I said, I got the wood duck color for the mallard flank, and then just a natural guinea feather here. So natural, nice black and white spotted guinea feather, but we're going to do the same thing we did with that mallard flank. Prep it to be tied in as a wet fly hackle. Just preen it all outward, holding on to the tip as a tie-in point here. And we can come and secure that in place right on top in front of the mallard. We're going to leave just a little bit of room in front of everything to come and add our final finishing collar, which is going to match the body of the fly. But we'll do a couple of wraps with the guinea before we get there. So pulling it all back. Guinea's a bit stiffer than mallard flank, so you got to sort of tease it just a little bit more to get it to do what you want it to do. And we'll come right around again 3 or 4 times over the top. Just a great little finishing feather. Adds a lot of style. Makes a very elegant looking fly. And then anytime you have that mottled spotting, I think fish just really key in on that. Creates the illusion of movement on top of real movement. Makes for a great little fly. So now that we have that all secured in place, like I said, we're just going to finish it with some more eye stub. And do, again, somewhat of a loose collar. You could even do this in a dub loop if you really wanted to sort of pick it out. We'll finish right behind the bead with a little more, and then we'll whip finish it and clip our hook. There we are. Quick whip finish on her. Snug it under the bead. About our thread. So that is basically your finished Perpetrator, but what we're going to do is come in with our heavy duty wire cutters, snippers, get all the material out of the way, which can be tricky, and then come up and under, and we're going to clip it right at that where that shank bends. We want to make sure not to cut any of the wire, so we're going to get right up underneath it and clip her. So you got your hook point that you can be cautious with and trash, and you got your nice intruder style wet fly ready to fish. Great way to get your upturn hook eye using just a standard nymph streamer hook with that stinger on the back. Makes for a deadly little pattern. Great on the swing. Fun fly to fish.